It's a beautiful day today.
It is, after all that rain and thunder last night.
I hate it when we have to stay inside because it's raining.
I love splashing in puddles though.
I'm sure you do.
Hey kids, all good? Came out for a walk in the country?
Yes, we came for a walk in the valley with our parents.
It's beautiful. It's like the rain gave the valley new life.
That's right, actually. The rainwater that streams through a valley gives life to all the plants and creatures that live in it.
What do you mean?
In summer, when the sun is really hot, a lot of plants and creatures that live in our countryside and valleys go to sleep. But as soon as it rains for the first time, they start to wake up again. Take this plant, for example. It's called bear's breeches, and it's an indigenous plant. When the soil dries up in summer, this plant dries up too. In fact, you'd think that it died. But as soon as the first autumn rains wet the soil, it comes back to life. The leaves become green again, and it sprouts beautiful white, purple or pink flowers.
What does indigenous mean?
When we talk about indigenous animals or plants, we are referring to those creatures that are naturally found in that region. In our case, the Mediterranean region. There are a lot of indigenous trees in this valley, like olive trees, white poplars, almond trees, and white willows. There are even indigenous animals, and they rely heavily on the natural water in our valleys, like frogs, dragonflies, there's even the black snake.
Ma, scared of snakes?
The black snake found in Malta isn't dangerous to people. It doesn't have poison, and it only eats insects and small animals. If you see one, just let it be. That goes for all animals, not only the snake. You must never try and catch tadpoles or ladybirds, for example. Take as many pictures of them as you like, but let them be. We also find a lot of endemic species in a valley like this. By endemic, we are referring to those plants and animals that are only found in Malta, not even in neighboring countries with a similar climate.
Our teacher at school told us about the crab.
Yes, the Maltese freshwater crab is the only freshwater crab found in Malta. This crab needs the natural water in our valleys to survive. In fact, in summer the crab digs holes underground so that the water can collect there and not dry up with the sun.
That's really clever.
Unfortunately, there aren't many of these crabs left. This is why we need to take care of our valleys and the water that collects in them, because this is the only habitat of the Maltese crab, and if we destroy it, the Maltese crab will end up extinct. The Maltese wild blossom is an example of an endemic plant. They're very rare plants nowadays and can only be found along the side of valleys, near the sea, or on a cliffside.
The Maltese wild blossom is our national plant.
We also find a lot of invasive plants, even animals in our valleys.
What does invasive mean?
We already mentioned the plants and animals that are only found in the Mediterranean climate, even only in Malta. But we also find a lot of plants and animals that could never have reached Malta naturally. And that's why we call them invasive.
I don't get it.
For example, you went abroad and decided to bring a plant back to Malta with you. A plant that doesn't exist in Malta. Once you planted it in your garden, the plant's seeds spread to other places with the wind, and that plant starts to grow in the wild.
And what's wrong with that?
For a plant or animal to enter the local ecosystem naturally, many years must pass so that the ecosystem will adapt to that plant. Animals and plants need time to adapt to each other. But when an animal or plant is brought into an existent ecosystem, they wouldn't have any other natural competition, so they can overcome and even destroy those creatures that already live there.
Is there anything in this valley that is invasive?
Have a look around. Those reeds are an invasive species, so are those acacia trees, castor oil plants, and that showy balloon vine.
What about animals?
In recent years, the red swamp crayfish was introduced to our islands. It adapted very well to our habitat and it grew and spread. This crayfish obviously needs to eat, so it's eating tadpoles, beetles' eggs, and even dragonfly larvae. So it's causing a lot of damage to our natural habitat because it's killing our indigenous and endemic species.
There's so much to learn about the Maltese environment.
How mistaken I was to think that our environment is boring because we have no big animals.
I would never have thought how important the natural water found in our valleys could be. Let's keep walking. Maybe we'll find some more interesting stuff along the valley.
Have fun, kids, and remember, enjoy everything that you see, but always be careful not to cause any damage.
This project is part-financed by the European Union under the Cohesion Fund, European Structural and Investment Funds 2014-2020.